welcome everyone. I'm really excited to kick off our Cohere Labs Scholars Program info session today. So as some of you know, this is our fourth time hosting, this is our fourth cohort that we'll get ready to welcome in 2026. So yeah, I'm excited to kick us off today. Let's go to the next slide. So today you'll hear from myself. I'm on the operations team at Cohere Labs. You'll hear from Marzia, who graciously just jumped in and shared her slides for us. She's one of our staff research scientists here at Cohere Labs. And then I'm also really excited that we have Diana and Amar here today. Diana and Amar are both current scholars at Cohere Labs, and they've been with us since January. So we'll hear from them a bit later in the call. But yeah, I'm excited to have everyone here today. Let's see. So just a little bit of an agenda and then some housekeeping on how we'll sort of run this call today. We'll start with a quick overview of Cohere Labs. We'll talk about the Scholars Program sort of in general and as a whole, and then we'll zoom in a bit and talk about the application, the different parts of the application, some tips, where to go to find more tips. And then you'll hear from our current scholars, like I mentioned, Diana and Amar. And then lastly, we'll try to save about the last half of this call or so for Q&A. And speaking of Q&A, we're going to use the Q&A function. And some people jumped on this call early with me and tested the Q&A. So thank you to all of you that were here like 10 minutes early and you guys were helping me test. I really appreciate that. So you'll see, I believe the chat is disabled for you as a participant, but the Q&A function should work for you. So feel free to use the Q&A function, not only use it, but you can also upvote. So if you have the same question as someone, please just upvote it versus typing it in, because I have a feeling there'll be lots of questions and it'll be easier for us to sort of sort through by upvote. So yeah, so we'll use the Q&A. And then I think I'm going to pass it over to Marzia. She'll kick us off with a little bit of an intro to Cohere Labs.
Yeah, thanks, Britannia, and welcome everyone. Really exciting to kick off this session on the Scholar Program for next year. So for those of you who are maybe not familiar with who we are Cohere Labs, a research lab at Cohere, who our fundamental goal is to work on interesting and challenging problems in machine learning. We have a small team of full staff who have been doing research for the past couple of years. And then we also have other initiatives that I want to go through a little bit today before getting actually to our Scholar Program and the details about that. And our mission, our North Star, is we want to change where, how, and by whom research is done. And we do that through four main principles and pillars. So our open collaborations, our fundamental research, which Scholar Program is part of that, training and development and release of state-of-the-art models to help the research community to advance the technology, and also building a community of researchers. And throughout the past couple of years, we have been publishing more than 100 papers, collaborating with multiple institutes across the world. And you might be familiar with models that we have released. Aya is one of our big family of models that we release periodically, different variants and different more recently, we have worked on Aya Vision, for instance, on multimodality, but also on multilinguality. And all of this is through our commitment to doing research and sharing with the community. And really, at the end of the day, to share the details of the research that we do. So we have this goal of publishing our work. We think it's really important to advance the field, and it might be a little, it's becoming less and less that people do that, but I'm very proud that us as a lab, we still have this commitment to publishing papers and sharing our findings. And that's a big part of what we work on. And it includes different topics and different projects, from efficiency to safety to generalization to policy. But beyond research, we also have other initiatives, and that includes our grant program, our open science community, and different partnerships that we have throughout the year. I want to highlight our open science initiative in particular. So I think many of you are probably part of our community. it has been growing a lot since we started in mid-22. Now more than 4,500 people are part of this community across the globe. And we have been launching global projects, global collaborations throughout the year to work with people in our community. But also the community is great because they also have always been organizing different groups and different ways to help each other to learn and it depends on their interest, whether it's like for beginners to get into research, whether there are particular niches and interests about like safety or RL or computer vision, people working together, organizing talks, organizing reading groups, and also have been working together to publish papers. So it's really great if you are looking for finding people who would share your interest in research, or you are looking for where to start if you want to get to research. I would also recommend joining our open science community. But now let's get to the Scholar Program. So I think the reason many of you are here today. So what is our Scholar Program? And why are we really committed to this for the fourth year in a row? As you know, the progress in our field, in the machine learning field, is quite fast. And it's also becoming more and more difficult for people who wants to start and wants to get involved in, especially in research, which means working on cutting edge, unexplored problems to get involved. Because the main reason is that you need access to large scale experiment setup. And that is not something that is really, unfortunately, available everywhere. And our goal for this program is to provide the tools and the mentorship and the path essentially for those of you who really want to get started, who wants to get into research and go throughout this research journey together with you. So we are running currently our 2025 research program, scholar program. So these are our 6 scholars. 2 of them are here today, which we can talk to them later. Actually, some of them have already also published their work that they have been working for the past couple of months. Some of them are still working on their projects to wrap up, to publish their work. And the scholars have a big support from the different mentors across the company. So both from Cohere Labs and also Cohere, depending on each project. So they're not really alone in working on these projects. And we provide a strong group of mentors for the scholars throughout the program. And you might be asking, okay, what type of projects are you working on in this program? And here I wanted to highlight a few papers that we've published throughout the years. So this one, Louisa from the program 2 years ago, she, in this particular work, she worked on toxicity mitigation, which in a multilingual setting, which is really challenging. And she did an excellent job of publishing a really nice paper on this. Last year, Ayomida worked on synthetic data for multilingual models. So in particular, coming up with a new method of what we call multilingual arbitrage to expand the pool of data available to train models for different languages using multiple teachers. So really impactful work, and which has been also since then used in different real-world scenarios of developing models and releasing models. And then another Louisa last year, she looked into how synthetic data can actually be a really fun way to target non-differentiable objectives and steer model generations towards. And when we talk about non-differentiable objectives, for instance, you can think about maybe the length of the generation or like the tone, things that are you either have to deal with at preference training, but in this particular project, we looked into how to deal with that at SFT phase. So yeah, just a few works to show the types of projects that we work on. But definitely, if you are curious, check out the papers for the previous years of the Scholar Program on our website. And I do want to highlight that this is a remote first uh, program and position. Our lab works remotely, which I think is really important because we believe that talent can come from anywhere, and we are really committed to find and work with people from across the world. But we also have nice opportunities during this program to get together. I think this is a really nice chance because a lot of times the scholars are quite junior and they can practice their presentation skills in person when we meet, for instance, in one of our office sites or just like somewhere in the board essentially, and they present their work, whether in progress or done, to the rest of the company, which is quite nice. So as part of this program, there's also this opportunity that we can still also meet in person. And this would be the start of the journey of a researcher, and definitely not the end. Past scholars have ended up going at different universities to do their PhDs or joining different companies to continue working on this technology. And our hope is to provide this opportunity and this path to the next round of scholars. Here are some more details about like exactly what the program for next year looks like. I think, Britannia, do you want to take over, or shall I maybe go through these as well?
I think I'll have you go through these and then I'll jump in once we talk about
All
the
right.
application, if that's okay.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, definitely. So just to reiterate, this is a full-time position, remote first paid opportunity. Uh, the plan is to have an 8-month program starting mid-January next year. And as I mentioned, we support the scholars by providing an in-house mentorship and research team, and also dedicated compute resource and just general direction for the project and help throughout the 8 months that they work with us. And really, the what would be like the best way to think about this program is and to prepare for it is that it's going to be intense. It's going to be really hard. We are working on difficult open problems that are not solved, but it's also going to be very rewarding if you are willing to take that chance and take that commitment. So yeah, and I do want to highlight that this program is a little bit different and special because we are in particular looking for emerging talent. And what this means that you can be an early career researcher. You don't necessarily have to have a specific degree. Uh, and also, you don't have to have a published record before. So if you have published paper, it's okay. If you haven't, it might even be better because we really want to provide this opportunity to early career and junior researchers who have strong machine learning and engineering skills and want to get involved in research in AI. Nice. So the next section is about the application process and what to expect when you apply. So I think I'll hand off to Britannia now.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Marzia. Yeah, so I think let's zoom in a bit and talk about the application to the Scholars Program. So there are 3 stages in the application process. We are currently in stage 1, where we're accepting applications, and with the application, we'll ask you for a personal statement and a video submission. So we'll start by digging into stage 1 a bit. So as you've seen, if you've clicked on the link, you've seen the application. It looks like this. And again, this will ask you when you're submitting your application, it will ask you for both a personal statement and a video submission. So we'll talk briefly about both of those elements of the application now. So the first thing, we'll talk about the personal statement. So The personal statement is really an opportunity for you to let us know who you are and what your research goals are. What we're looking for here is ones that stand out and ones that talk about specific moments or specific experiences that are helpful for us to understand your strengths and why this program would be a good fit for you. So just be sure to tailor this to this opportunity. And yeah, I think you want to give it some time to revise, revisit it, maybe draft it, take a couple hours off, couple days off, come back. And then we also recommend proofreading this. Ask a friend. So a second opinion could really help you get some call out areas where things are maybe unclear, or maybe you should add another example to help sort of make your point more clear. And then lastly, I think sort of hear how it reads. Read it out loud. Maybe read it to a friend, send it to your grandma. I don't know, have someone else listen to it. And I think having someone else review it just kind of helps you get another perspective, and maybe that person can help point things out that are missing, or maybe something sounds awkward, or maybe some information is missing. If we could go to the next slide. So we do have an example here. I won't read this example, but we do have an example here of a personal statement. And we also have this available on our Notion guide. So we'll drop a link to that in the chat. But this is a personal statement we have for somebody that was applying to a PhD program. So it is slightly different, right? This isn't a PhD program, but I think the next slide kind of talks about, yeah, so why does that statement work well? Even though it's not for our program directly, it's for our PhD program, but it works because it's clear and direct, and it's really specific to her experience and what she wants to achieve, and it's specific to the program. I think that that's another thing we want to highlight. I'm sure you all have drafted personal statements for other things, but we want to make sure that this is really tailored to this program specifically. The terms are also defined in that example, and it really defines her research interests and shows a reason why. Why is she passionate about her goals and what she wants to achieve? Um, so yeah, I think, yeah, this is a quick snapshot of the research, the personal statement guidelines that we have. And so we'll share that link again in the chat, but you can check out that example there. I know you probably didn't have time to read that on that slide. So yeah, be sure to check that out. Next, let's talk about the video. I think this is a really big piece of the interview, and it's a really important piece because we get to see you, get to see you face to face and kind of learn, a bit about sort of how you think in terms of research. So, this prompt is a little different this year. So if you're reapplying from last year, it is a little different. So be sure to check out the prompt. We'll drop the link to that as well. There, that's also on the Notion guide. But the prompt this year is we want you to choose a paper from the list provided. And again, the list is on the Notion page, and talk about and suggest different directions in which that work can be further expanded. So maybe you want to start the video by quickly introducing yourself and start by saying which paper you chose and maybe why you chose it. Maybe that's an area of interest for you, and why is that an area of interest for you? And then I think you want to spend the majority of the time of this video talking about the prompt specifically. I think that that would be a really big tip for us. Videos should be 5 minutes, and so maybe take a couple seconds in the beginning to talk, like I said, introduce yourself, which paper you chose. Um, but yeah, we really want you to spend a majority of time on the prompt. So the prompt being, how can it be further expanded? How can this work? So we know what the paper is about, right? Our lab wrote the list of papers. And so we're not looking for you to come in and do a 5 minute overview of the paper. While that's really cool, that's not what we're looking for. We know what the paper is about. We want you to kind of dig in and talk about how the work in the paper could be further expanded, or how can we build upon what we've published here, or how can we improve upon it, or dig further into it. So I would just recommend really spending your time. It's only 5 minutes, which is quick. Spending your 5 minutes really digging into like how we can further expand on that. We obviously recommend watching your video back, ensure the audio is clear. Another big thing is making sure the sharing settings on the link work. So you can submit a video in any form, Google Drive, YouTube. I think a lot of people are using Loom, I think it's called. Um, However you want to submit it is totally fine as long as anyone can view it. And I'd also recommend making sure it's not just me who has access, or just Marzia. I know when we share things on Google, we add, specific viewers. There'll be a lot of people reviewing the applications, on our team. And so we want to make sure that everyone can see your video. Yeah, and I think a genuine, thoughtful response matters more than perfect background. We're not looking for you to like have a photography studio or anything super fancy. What really matters is the content and how you're thinking about the content and the research and how, what your thought process is there. And then, yeah, I think lastly, if you want to use presentation tools, you're welcome to. So if you want to have slides, you can, not required, but you can. And then everything that we just talked about and some further tips are listed on the Notion page, which I think is getting dropped in the chat. So shout out to everyone working behind the scenes with the links there. Um, so yeah, we'll go to the next slide. So stage two. So not everyone will go to this stage. We will select a handful of candidates that submit a strong personal statement and video to move along to the take-home challenge. This will happen in September. Just a note that this link to the take-home assignment will be sent out all at once so that everyone will have equal amount of time to work on the take-home challenge. So if you submit your application today and you're like, why haven't I got a response? While we're reviewing applications as they come in, not anyone will get moved on to stage two. Everyone will get moved on at once. And that will be obviously be after the application deadline closes. So, you don't have to panic if you're like, am I going to get the take home or not? We do still have 2 weeks. So the deadline is 2 weeks from today. And then we'll send it out. And so, yeah, the take home challenge is really, there's three parts of it. The first part is that we are really looking for you to showcase your engineering skills here. So it'll be some sort of mix of identifying bugs and getting the code working. And we're just really trying to test your ability and see your ability to work on real engineering problems. It'll also test your ability to generate code for a specific problem. And then lastly, there will be a optional challenge at the end. And if you're feeling up to it, great. If not, then that's fine too. But yeah, we're really just looking for a practical way for you to demonstrate your skills and your capabilities that you have. So I think yeah. And then so what happens after that, right? Like let's say you get through stage one, you submit your video, you submit your personal statement, you submit your assignment. What's next? So yeah, as I mentioned, all applications received by August 29th, which is 2 weeks from today, will be reviewed as they come in. The take-home challenge will be sent to select applicants all at once in mid-September. And then we anticipate interviews to be held in October, early November. And then just continuing on that timeline in mid-November, we plan to try to make those offers. And then the program start is on January 12th, 2026. So that's a bit about each stage. We will jump into Q&A here in just a couple of minutes, but I want to highlight there's probably a lot of questions in the Q&A, and maybe we won't get to all Q&A today, but I want to highlight on the Notion page, we also have a section of Q&As, and there's lots of things sort of embedded in that list. So be sure to check that out. If your question doesn't get answered and it's not listed in the FAQ, we also have a form shown on the right there. And the link to that form is in the Notion page, and you can submit your question there. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get to all the questions, but if we don't. And then lastly, I want to highlight our YouTube channel. So we have, YouTube playlist. On our YouTube channel, we have a playlist that is designed just for scholars. So it talks a bit about what the program is like, growing as a researcher, what it takes to become a Cohere Labs research scholar. So I highly recommend checking out these videos. Also, the session recording for this session will be added to this playlist. So if you're like, I want to watch this again, I forgot everything, come back to this playlist. And I think we're going to drop the playlist link in the chat. And so, yeah, you'll find the recording here in a couple days. And then, yeah, next, I'm really excited to pass it over to our scholars. So, scholars, if you want to introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about your research, that would be great. Amar, can I pass it to you first?
Yeah, of course. Thanks a lot, Britannia. Hi, everyone. So great to see lots of you in this information session. It's really exciting. So yeah, a little bit of introduction about myself. My name is Ammar Khairi. Based in London right now, and I'm a research scholar, started in January, so the most recent batch. And yeah, for the last months, I have the pleasure of working with Coher on inference time scaling. So what I've been working on is how we can improve the performance of large language models at test time without needing to do like any training or gradient optimization. And we apply this to multilingual and multitask situation. And our work has been published, and we have this metaphor of the LLM lemonade, where we squeeze out the most performance of the models using the methods that we developed through the Scholars Program. So it was a very exciting time and a very nice project, and exciting to hear all your questions about it and answer it and let you know. And yeah, that's about it for me, and I can pass it on to Diana.
Hi everyone, I'm Diana Bagyan. I'm also a 2025 research scholar, started in January as well. And I'm based in New York City. My project has been working on pre-training small geo-clustered models, so around like a 3B scale, and looking at regions of the world, for example, like Europe, Middle East, Asia, to support the languages spoken in those regions. So it's been very exciting. We also published a paper on training tokenizers to support many different languages, in particular to enable adaptation of that model in post-training more easily, and how you can kind of you can enable those capabilities even in the tokenization stage before you do any training. So yeah, also very excited to share my experiences and welcome a new batch.
Great. Thanks so much, Amar and Diana. And Amar and Diana will stick around for the Q&A that we'll jump into here in just a moment. So if there are questions that are specific to the scholars and maybe what the program is like or something like that, feel free to ask those in the Q&A, and then we can put Amar and Diana on the spot here. So yeah, I think with that, we'll jump into the Q&A section of this call. So it looks like people have been using the Q&A, which is awesome. So we will take a look there. Marzi, if it's easier if you want to stop sharing screen, I think you can. For me, it's tricky to see Q&A and screen, so you're welcome to stop sharing. So yeah, let's take a look at the Q&A here. There's a lot of questions that are talking about PhD students and can I apply if I'm as a PhD student? So I'll quickly address that sort of as a whole. Unfortunately not. This is a full-time opportunity, and we don't allow people to be working as a PhD student at the same time. The reason being, we really want you to focus on, the opportunity to work at Cohere Labs, and it is a full-time role. So you would be stretched too thin, I think. So yeah, we just really want you to focus in on the program. Marzi, is there some questions that you see that you'd like to point out?
Yeah, thanks. There's actually a fun question for Diana or Amar, either of you. What does a typical day or week of a scholar look like? Who wants to go?
I can go first, I guess. It will probably be different between me and Amar, but kind of generally, like at the beginning of the program, most of your days are spent reading, doing literature review, building up your background knowledge in the area, maybe suggesting some ideas, talking to your mentors about it. And then you're getting onboarded to the existing infrastructure and libraries at Cohere. Thankfully, we get to leverage those in running our experiments and stuff like that. So that can be a little difficult, that can take some time. But once you get past that hurdle, it enables a lot of quick experimentation. And then for me, the days past that point are a lot of like coming up with experiments, experiment monitoring, interpreting results, and determining like how to move forward from there, digging around for bugs, writing one-off scripts here and there. So the days look very different in different phases of the program. Beyond that, there's also like the paper writing stage, and that's mostly like you're staring at your overleaf document, you're tinkering around with plots in Matplotlib, making sure that things look good. So the days are extremely varied, but I think that's actually great because it's not monotonous. And you find the time throughout to, of course, like keep reading and keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to add like to what Diana said, like secret answer and yeah, I think the main point is that every day or every week is different when you're at the scholar program. And yeah, one of the things as you also do that as you are running experiments and as you are coming with results, you get to talk with your mentors mostly on a weekly basis, and you have like the freedom to see what the results are, how you interpret them, and you can discuss with your mentors how you can, which direction you want to go into your research. So that's also like an interesting part that I want to highlight of my day. Like these discussions like every week are some nice parts of the program.
Yeah, that's very nice. And maybe I can connect it to another question, which is about what is the structure of the research scholar program, for instance, weekly agenda milestones. And I would say that it's, again, like similar to what Diana mentioned, it changes throughout the project, depending on the phase of the project, but there are some constants there. So for instance, we for each project, there is a weekly project meeting where every mentor of the project and the scholar, they meet, they talk about the progress and the next steps. Usually the scholar and the main mentor, they have weekly one-on-ones, and that's also that's one of the things that might change throughout the phase of the project. So maybe it would start once a week. As it gets closer to maybe looking at the code, analyzing the results, or actually debugging, or the paper, even paper writing stage, you might meet every day. The main milestones that we have is to publish the work in the end. So depending on when the paper is ready and the conference deadlines, that is something that we usually plan publications and releases of models, data resources. And then we also have an internal, like I mentioned, if we usually in the middle of the program, we all meet in person, and that is kind of like an internal deadline as well to report the work that is in progress. So that's another milestone there. Any other questions you find? And I also see some raising hands. Maybe we can also, yeah, if anyone wants to unmute and ask questions, you can do that.
Okay, until we get to that, I see this interesting question from Yasmin here, asking about like from a background in telecommunications, would it be reasonable to apply to the Scholars Program? And I would say 100% it is. The Scholar Programs is mostly designed to as an entry point to traditional and early career stages into AI research. So if you feel like you have the interest and you want to do research at a top lab and you have the skills and the curiosity, so please do apply. And even you come from a background that's slightly different from large language models or NLP, that's also okay. And especially if you feel like you have the strong engineering skills background. Okay.
Thanks, Amar. I see another one here for Diana and Amar specifically. It talks about speaking on the involvement of mentorship and the available of compute to run self-directed experiments. Do you want to talk about a little bit about that? I think specifically the mentorship is something that would be nice to hear about.
I can go first, I guess. Mentorship is truly phenomenal. That was a huge draw for me to this program because you know, it can be hard to come by in other places, and this is specifically like 8 months of these incredible, accomplished researchers who are like very available to speak with you, and you know, you get to explore these really interesting questions together with them, and like ask them questions and see also like what is their research instinct, what kinds of questions do they ask, and how would they investigate them. That has been like very interesting for me to pick up on and to kind of develop my intuition as a researcher. And then also like career stuff, or general personal stuff, like people are very available to just talk with you about them, and I've really appreciated that as well. Beyond your direct mentor or people who are on the project, like everyone in the lab is just very open and available to that sort of thing, and they're invested in seeing your continued success and growth in your career. So that's been really great. Quickly on the compute question, lots of compute available, thankfully. I mean, there's definitely restrictions and you want to use it wisely, but another huge appeal of the program is that a lot of us come from places where that's really hard to come by. Even in universities, compute is restricted, and you definitely have access to like more of it here. That opens up the door to more experimentation.
Yeah, there's a question here I want to quickly say. So Mohammed asked, do you choose what area of research you will work on if selected? And the main mentors and the group of people who will work on the project, they will come up with the ideas. So there are, that is how we set the research agenda of our lab. So in the final round of the interview process, there's also this aspect of matching candidates, potential candidates, to projects that we have defined for next year. You will still have, of course, autonomy to come up with maybe new solutions or different ways to explore that problem. But the main research question that you want to that you will be working on will be defined before you join the program.
I can also add to this, whatever you end up working on, it's very much determined by your interests. And so the lab, like they put in a lot of effort to pair scholars with projects that they would be really interested in running, in working on. So while the projects are like predetermined, that pairing is very much open, and you want to show the areas that you're the most interested in.
I like another question. Maybe I can, and Britannia, feel free to, if you also find some questions, let us know. But there is a question from Sami, and they ask, what are the specific skills that you value the most in a scholar? And I think it's a good open-ended question that maybe I can share from my perspective and my experience, and also then Diana and Amar, maybe you can share what in your mind like makes a successful scholar. So the design of this program is in a way that we look for people that are more junior. So like if you essentially emerging talent who wants to get involved in research, that means that it's not gonna be easy. Like if you haven't really worked on a research project in that scale, there's definitely going to be challenges to learn and to adapt. But what skill is really important to have to be successful is resilience and really persistency in your work and trusting the process. So research is going to be a lot of downs before there is an up. Like you almost never the first experiment will work and the first solution will work. So really having this attitude of not getting disappointed, continuing to push, to find that little gem in all of the work that you are doing. I think that makes a big difference between a successful scholar and someone who might not succeed. Of course, this means also a really excellent level of machine learning, engineering background and skill set. So you do want to be able to iterate quite fast on different experiments and be skillful in figuring out problems and issues and things like that. So there's also like that aspect that I think by like each of them by themselves are not really enough in my mind, but putting them together, someone with a strong engineering background that is really prepared to dig deep and go through the process of failure to get to the success, that in my mind is a really nice combination. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think this is a very good answer in general. I was looking at some other questions that I also think is kind of related to this aspect, asking about me and Diana about our background and what we did before this. And I want to take this question as a chance to maybe talk about my background and also like how you can use that in the application process. So before this, I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering, and then I did a master's in AI. So, but what I want to highlight here is that when doing the application, and you find like you have to do the personal statement and the video, you don't need to be intimidated by quote unquote the lack of experience or research experience you have here. So you try to think of what you have done and why you are interested in this program and what you want to do, and really use the personal statement and video as a chance to showcase how your background could be helpful for you and to succeed in the program. So I would say because of the nature of the program, because it's the entry and for like new to the research, so we expect like most of people applying will have a strong research background. So yeah, so really make use of the 500 words you have on the personal statement and the video to show like your research skills and interest in the open science questions. Oh, yeah, if anyone have any other question.
Yeah, no, that was really nice. Maybe I can do like a few quick rounds of, I see a question about whether we accept applications from India. Yes, definitely, from anywhere in the world. And we already actually have people on our team working from India as well. There's another question. Their background is in robotics and manufacturing and different than LLM in general. Are we eligible to apply? So eligibility is less about your background and more about your skill and your interest to work on these projects. So definitely, if you are interested in working on research in language models, whether it's like NLP, multimodality, then yeah, you would be a great candidate. There's a question about whether I think there was a question about their defending in January and whether they can join or not. So unfortunately, this is a full-time program. So we want the applicants to be available for the duration of the program. So if you have commitments to your school or your jobs, even for a short period of time that overlaps with the time of the program, you wouldn't be eligible for this. Any other quick questions I can answer?
There's a nice one here, Marzi. I don't think it's a quick one, but Elena asked, hi, Diana and Amar, would you both be willing to share any specific tips from your applications that helped you stand out, if you're comfortable sharing? So any tips on standing out, Amar or Diana?
I would also suggest, Diana, to share how you recorded your video for everyone, if you like.
I was going to answer, someone else asked, Omaima asked about the video in particular and how to prepare for it, if there are any tips. So the video prompt was similar last year, also like, you know, select a paper and suggest how you would extend it or like another potential direction. And so I had read through a bunch of the papers even before like applying to the program I had. And I had a few different ones selected that I had potential answers for. But I think I like spent too long like, you know, like what's the perfect one for me to choose and whatever. And it got to the point where I was traveling and I didn't have time to like have the perfect setup to record the video. So I was in my best friend's car and it was like really close to the deadline. And I told her about this and she was like, just record it now. Because we weren't going to finish driving before the deadline. So we pulled into a parking lot of a gas station actually, and I put on my big headphones with a nice microphone and I recorded it directly in the car. So the main thing there that I can advise is like definitely like you know, spend a lot of time carefully considering the papers and like what your suggestions are for potential avenues, but that's much more important than like the exact setup in which you record your video. Do your best to make sure that your audio can be heard well. I think that's definitely really important. And do your best with your background, but things happen, like we're all in different situations and stuff. So definitely let your passion shine through, and that's going to be the most important thing.
I love that story. And I know like the people who reviewed Diana's video, they were like, it looks like the background looks like it's here, like it's dark. It's but yeah, we confirmed with her and it was in a car.
Mm.
There's a question. Oh, Amar, go ahead. Sorry. You were actually, yeah, not a lot of, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, lots of interesting questions. Yeah, there is this question here asking about 3 different questions. The first one is how has this program changed your views in research? What's the experience you had? I think we talked about it a little bit, and what advice do you have for newcomers? So for the first part of the question, well, how this program changed your views in research? I think it's hard to overestimate how this program have changed my views and my like trust in my skills and my ability in doing research. Because as it has been said quite some time now, it's a very intense program with a goal of like after 6 or 7 months, you will be writing a paper to be submitted to one of the top conference in AI. And throughout this process, you do research rigorously, and you do have lots of lots of compute and lots of great mentors. So it's as good as it can get in terms of research for new entry researchers and newcomers. So I think this program is really like fundamental in the way that I am as a researcher now. And yeah, if I have any advice for newcomers, again, just try when you communicate your research interests and what you want to do in your in your personal statement for the scholars program. Just try to dig deep and think about it a lot and write it very clearly and be very explicit about what you like and what you want to do, because this will get you like make it a standout personal statement, and also it will be helpful in how you get matched with different mentors as the program begins and how you go through your research. So, yeah. Yes.
Thanks,
Okay.
Omar. I think another quick one, Marzia. There's lots of people asking how many scholars. We typically accept anywhere from 5 to 10 scholars per cohort each year. That's what we've done the last 3 years. And this cohort will be somewhere within that same range. So I just wanted to address that one really quickly because I know lots of people are curious about that in the Q&A. I think someone else also asked about, will rejected applications get feedback? Unfortunately, due to the volume of applications, no, we will not be able to provide feedback. I'm just trying to go through any other quick ones, Marzia or Amar or Diana, if you see any other quick ones, or we can jump to a more in-depth one.
Oh, okay. I see one here asking about the journals that will be submitting. Again, it will be depending on your research and at the time that you're submitting. But it's definitely one of the top conferences in machine learning. That's what will always be targeted.
Yeah, I mean, the number of applications, it's just from the people on this call, you can just guess. Like it's a very, and for good reason, because this is the 4th year and we really have shown how impactful this program and the researchers that we discover in this program can be. So we see how many applications we get this year. But yeah, it is very competitive and we have a very high bar to select the final candidates. There's a question about whether the forms and videos are evaluated manually or AI-based evaluation. everything is done manually by multiple people. People on this call, people behind the scenes. I don't think we trust our AI systems this far. I think we still really want to, yeah, there's some things that you cannot really do automatically. So even checking the CVs, the individual questions, the individual videos, statements, everything, we go through every application ourselves. Yeah, I've seen a few questions about visa sponsorship. So unfortunately, we don't provide any sponsorship. So ideally, you have to be able to, this is remote first. So where you are living, you can join the program from there. But you have to be able to live where you are. So we wouldn't be able to provide any sponsorship.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah, I've also seen one question. I can't find it again, but was about the video and if someone can submit a demo to the video. I would say there is a prompt associated with the videos that to talk about the paper, specific paper, and like to discuss way to extend it. So you can have freedom in how you want to talk about that. If you want to have some slides, if you want to just talk about it to a camera in a car like Diana did. But I would say like mostly try to stick to what the prompt is defined as to, like if you want to show other work that you have done, you can, a personal statement could be a better place for that or your CV. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a question about what you would end up working on. Will it be similar to those you mentioned in your personal statement or previous portfolio? It depends on your personal statement and portfolio, but no, that's not the goal. So we have research ideas and research questions in mind. We are designing proposals for each scholar, and they will join the project knowing the overall goal of the project. How to achieve that? There's something that is a very collaborative process that the scholar will do with the mentors on the project. And if they have worked before on something similar, then yeah, that's a nice coincidence, but it definitely doesn't have to be, and it's not going to be related to your previous portfolio.
There's a lot of questions, or a couple of questions here about sort of what happens after the Scholars Program, which is funny because we haven't started the Scholars Program yet, but people are like, what happens at the end? And I know we briefly talked about it, on a slide here. I think it's really your journey, right? Some people do this program and say, I want to go on to do a PhD. Some people end up getting full-time roles at, other big companies. Some people end up getting roles at Cohere or Cohere Labs. So I think it really just depends on your journey and what you end up researching and sort of your experience. I think everyone's end journey here has been a little different. All really cool to see. But yeah, I think it really just depends on what your goals are, after the program and sort of long term. Amar or Diana, do you want to add anything to that, to like what happens at the end?
Yeah, I think I would just say like as you're approaching the end of the program and throughout the program, your mentor is always there to help you. Even if you're not sure what you're gonna do about it, you have all the time to think about it throughout the program. Yeah, and what you say.
I also saw one or two questions about if not selected, what advice or suggestion would you give to a person? And I might put Diana on the spot for this one, but I think also just like adding my 2 cents, it really depends on what you want to do in your career and how you want to go about it. So this particular program is going to be very competitive, and not getting selected doesn't mean the end of the world. There are different ways to still, if you're interested to work with Cohere Labs, becoming part of the community and working on different initiatives that we launched there. That's one way of doing that. And then there's always next year, as I think Diana would tell you. And yeah, you never know. There's always going to be other opportunities as well.
Yeah, I can jump in here and say that I applied 3 times. I got in on my third time, but that's like two years I applied and I didn't get in, right? So definitely like that's something that's valued. If you like apply multiple times, it shows that you have sustained interest and you're also resilient. So I would definitely encourage if anyone here is has applied before and wants to apply again, just go ahead and do it. But this, doesn't have to be the only avenue towards getting into research. It definitely helps so much. But as Marzia said, the community, if anyone's not in it yet, it's a really incredible resource. There's multiple talks every week. There's different community groups where people discuss various areas of research. I personally was involved in the Aya project, which some of you may be familiar with as well. But that was this like tremendous initiative to gather data from all across the world. So there's a lot of community opportunities there. But in general, like for anybody, I would just say my advice is like continue reading, like continue consuming research, and allow your mind to keep working, coming up with interesting questions, and that informs like what direction you want to go, like what's exciting and compelling to you, and maybe can open up potential directions as well.
I know we are almost at the time. There's a really nice question that I want to ask both of you for Diana and Amar. What was the most surprising part of this journey for you? And I think that's a nice question maybe to wrap up. And I know a lot of questions are still there, and maybe we can share some links for answers later. But for you two, what was the most surprising part?
Oh, yeah. For me, I guess the most surprising part was mentors. I was asked this question before, and it was a one-word answer. It's the mentors. It's like a really amazing experiment working with them throughout research, coding, thinking about life, helpful all the way around. And actually, we have this like funny story when when all the scholars are together at near the end of the program. Like every scholar I meet, I keep telling like I feel like I have the best mentor match with me, and like the reply from them come like I also feel the same way. So yeah, like a super great experience working with all of the scientists at Cohere Labs and at Cohere as well.
That's very sweet.
What about you, Dan?
I definitely echo the part about the mentors. I feel the exact same way. And yeah, again, just like you can even talk to people who are not your mentors and they're very kind. That's been great. But I feel like personally for me, the most surprising part has been that like I am capable of like doing all of these things. Like there are a lot of things that were really scary in over the course of this program. For example, like writing a first author paper and submitting it is like terrifying. It's something that I've wanted to do for many years, but didn't feel like it was accessible to me. And when you're actually doing it, it's like very anticlimactic. Um, like you press a button and you expect fanfare and it's like totally fine. But beyond that, it's just like, when you have this really supportive environment and people who are invested in your success and willing to mentor you on like how to get through these big things, it seems much more attainable. And that's been like really incredible for me.
Nice. Thanks, Diana. Thanks, Samar. That's a nice question to wrap up on. I know Madeline also just mentioned this in the chat, but we tried to get through as many questions as possible. I know there are many that are remaining. So take a look at the FAQ doc. Madeline has graciously dropped the link for us in the chat. And if there are any questions that you don't see on the FAQ, like I mentioned earlier, there is the form that you can submit your question there as well. And then the recording for this session will be added to our YouTube playlist, and it'll also be shared on our socials and emailed out as well. So I know lots of people will be looking for this recording. But thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for submitting your questions. Thank you to Marzia, Diana, and Amar. Thank you to you for taking on so many of these questions and really letting everyone know what the experience is like firsthand. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a good rest of your day and a good weekend.
And thank you, Britannia and Madeline and Kate behind the scenes to organize this. Looking forward to see all of your applications, and good luck on this part of your journey and everything else that you decide to do.